us for this morning's session. First things first, hopefully everyone got their wild Irish chocolate compliments of Magico this week. So if it has not already become a wrapper in the bin, break it open now and keep the sugar levels up as we work through some great peak planning content and ideas. While we're doing that, if you feel inclined, why not take a picture and tag Magico and this Planning for Peak Trading 2021 webinar with the hashtag planning treats on your social channels. It's what Breach always tells us to do, so we better practice what we preach. So this is the first webinar in our Planning for Peak Trading webinar series. The next session will follow today week at 11 a.m. and you will have received access details for that session when you registered. We had planned for today to be an in-person event, and we were very much looking forward to welcoming into the AB Commerce community approximately 30 new retailers that have joined the platform over the last 18 months, around about 30. So it's been a busy year. Unfortunately, COVID restrictions have prevailed. So for now, our meetup is virtual, but to all our new retailers joining us for the first time, you are more than welcome. And during the course of this morning's session, I would like to welcome you to share comments, feedback, ask questions in the Q&A section, and we'll break at various stages to answer those as we work through this morning's content. We are hoping to keep this webinar to about an hour or thereabouts, allowing some time for some questions as we work through. Just to provide you with maybe a running order then for this session, I'm going to kick off with a short presentation on what is peak trading and what do we expect from peak trading this year. Then I'm going to hand over to Breach Grogan, Senior E-commerce Advisor with Magico. Many of our retailers will have worked closely with Breach over the last year and benefited greatly from the knowledge and training that she provides via the Magico digital marketing, training and consultancy service. Today, Breach is going to talk to you about planning for peak, and she'll be approaching this from 3 core angles: know your business, 2, know your customer, and number 3, prepping the detail, which is going to be key really to ensuring successful fulfillment through the online surge. Then we're going to present to you a range of ways to supercharge your online store for peak trading, using some existing and some newly released functionality on the AB Commerce platform. And finally, we will wrap up this session with some upcoming events for your diary. Just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared after the session. So if you miss something now, you can always return to it later. So let's get started. Okay, so you might just let me know. Hopefully you can see my screen okay there. So we've got a welcome to peak trading. So bear with me. Okay, so what will peak trading look like this year? Well, peak trading, or the golden quarter, is almost upon us, and we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible for what we expect will be a bumper peak trading season. So I'm going to start by taking a quick look at what we think peak trading will look like in 2021. So the move to online is here to stay, and I think we're all aware of that at this point. All industry data suggests that the shift to online has definitely become a lasting one. You've had the rise of the COVID-conscious shopper who would rather avoid crowded shopping stores, as well as those who have just embraced the convenience of shopping online. We've seen massive amounts of people do that. As it stands, we would expect that bricks and mortar stores will be open this peak trading period. Fingers crossed. There won't be any changes to that, but it's still expected that online sales will account for a significant percentage of overall sales. Looking at some of the UK data on that, it would suggest that it could account for approximately 26% this year, which is a slight drop on the record-breaking 28% last year. However, one thing I do think we need to consider is that loyalty to the Irish SME is not as strong now or for the upcoming peak period as it was at the height of the pandemic. So if you look at the disc on the right of the graphic, these stats show that at the start of the pandemic, the majority of Irish consumers did their online shopping with Irish SMEs. So we're looking there at a stat of about 53%. So that buy local sentiment very much rooted in crisis solidarity with the Irish businesses. Then as the pandemic has continued, however, although Irish consumers are still eager to support Irish businesses, other factors such as price and range have definitely returned to prominence in the consumer's decision making. So the disc on the left of the graphic is showing 49% of consumers are shopping local, but that stat is from much earlier this year. And we do expect that the swing back towards international retailers is possibly much larger now. For this reason, we do expect that Irish retailers will have to work even harder this year to retain the Irish customer and their loyalty. So it's more important than ever that now, as we head into the peak trading period, that Irish online retailers focus on your USPs. So they being things like speed of delivery with no customs charges, trust, reliability, and exceptional customer service, and just build on those things. Okay, we do expect a bigger, a longer, and an earlier peak. So although Black Friday is in the diary for the 27th of November, pent-up demand is expected to bring a bigger, earlier, and longer peak. And there's a couple of factors feeding into that. I suppose after last year's quite subdued celebrations, consumers are expecting Christmas to be more exciting this year. And according to some British research, over 25% have already started their Christmas shopping. So that's an interesting stat. They're very organized amongst us. According to Google research, global consumer interest in Black Friday starts around the start of September. So that's roughly 10 weeks before Black Friday takes place. So fair to say the peak has already started. So if you haven't already done so, it's time to start planning now. It's also worth noting that, I suppose, following the supply chain issues and the delivery delays that we have seen and experienced throughout the pandemic, consumers won't be leaving anything to chance this year. So we will be going through this in a little bit more detail during our webinars later this morning and also next week. But it will be critical to have the stock, the staff available, the space available, and delivery capacity should be locked in as early as possible, particularly for popular categories of products, thinking of things like electronics, clothing, shoes, cosmetics, and maybe perfumes. Now, the importance of omni-channel strategy. So lots of people who never shopped online pre-pandemic will do so now. And that behavior is now ingrained, as we've discussed. But at the same time, many of these people will also still continue to shop in store. Going forward, that omni-channel strategy is really important. It's important for us in terms of our strategic roadmap and something that we're very much focused on in terms of the platform. But it's also something that you as retailers should be quite focused on, because most shoppers are going to do both, shop in store and shop online with you. So again, we'll touch on it later this morning and in next week's presentations, but having an omni-channel strategy that delivers that complete consumer experience will be important to maximize the opportunities. And one thing is certain, and that is uncertainty. So if we've learned anything at all over the last 18 months, it's that no matter how well you prepare for anything, you can never be 100% ready for every challenge or mishap. In recent years, the peak trading period has been impacted by a global pandemic, Brexit, extreme weather. There have been carrier capacity issues. So although we expect this peak to be substantial, our advice would always be prepared for the unexpected and be prepared to change your tactics. So before I hand you over to Breach, are there any comments, any questions, any thoughts any of you would like to share at this point? No? Don't knock us down. More chocolate, maybe. More chocolate and another cup of coffee. And I'll hand you over to Breach now, who will take you through all you need to know to start planning for peak trading 2021.
Good morning, guys. I've just shared my screen there, so hopefully everybody can see that okay, or you might let me know if you can see that on your screen.
Yeah.
You're okay? Great.
Yeah, all
so
looks good.
Thanks. Thanks, Orla. So as Orla mentioned, I'm going to talk about planning for peak, and I can't even believe we're talking about peak already. I think this year has absolutely flown, and we're already in peak, as Orla said. It used to be that you waited for Black Friday or you waited for Christmas uplift, but really now, as we know, peak is starting earlier and earlier every year. So we're already in peak, and a lot of you might have your peak planning already done or your plans in place. So if so, well done. But if not, it's not too late, and we would advise to just jump on that task as soon as possible, because it's important to have a good plan in place so that you can react to whatever comes your way in the last quarter of the year. So this guy probably hasn't started work yet. We don't think. He looks like he's still by the pool somewhere. But hard as it is to believe, it's 14 weeks to Christmas from this week. And 6 weeks to Black Friday or Cyber Monday, weekend. So these are only the traditional milestones that we work towards, and you will have your own approach to how you want to phase that promotional activity, to phasing budget uplifts, marketing uplifts around those key traditional milestones. But we know from the last few years that Christmas peak is starting earlier, so we want to get that plan in place as soon as possible. So starting today. Where do we start? How do we plan cohesively for peak? And I know myself from being client side for years, it's really easy in multi-channel retail to be pulled in multiple directions, particularly at the back end of the year, because there is so much happening. There's so much more marketing. There's so much more, hopefully, orders coming through. The phones are hopping, the email is hopping, and it's really easy to get pulled in multiple directions. So success online at any time of the year comes down to clear goals and effective planning. So I'm going to talk to you about how you can approach this, as Orla says, in 3 sections. The first being know your business, second being know your customer, and the third being prep the detail. Okay. So know your business. This to retailers is a funny thing to say, because of course you know your business. You're living it every day. You're in your stores. You know what sells. You know your margins. You know what activity you're undertaking, and hopefully what works and what doesn't. But for this exercise, we're recommending just taking this a step further and looking at the data to help inform what's happening in your business at the moment, particularly online, and how that can inform what direction you take for peak trading. Okay. So the first thing I would advise we do as retailers is to look back, and that might sound, I suppose, counterintuitive, because we're planning for Christmas. It's coming up. We need to do it now, get our campaigns ready. But just pause for a second and look back in order to understand what's working for you and what will happen in the future. So what do I mean by that? I mean, use the data. And anybody that's done any of my courses is probably sick hearing me say that, but using the data will be really, really valuable to give you actual insights. No anecdotal, no feelings, actual data to help drive insights and actions for your site. So as AB Commerce retailers, you've got access to really good data, guys. The AB Commerce dashboard is there. You can look at that to see you can see your last year trading pattern. By month, you can see your last month trading pattern in quite granular detail. You also all have Google Analytics to hand, which is very, very rich integration and very, very rich level of data that you can pull on what's happening on your site and in your digital marketing. And also you have your digital marketing reporting. If you're doing that internally in-house in your team, you'll be able to get those reports and that data from Facebook, from Google Ads, and from MailChimp, from those platforms that you're using. And if you're working with a third-party consultant or agency, don't be afraid to lean on them for the insights from last year at this point, because they should be able to provide you, if they haven't already, with some insights as to what worked last year, what worked from a budget perspective, what worked from an activity perspective, what formats and technology was good in terms of ads. So don't be afraid to look back and ask them for that data and that insight. What will this data do for you? So it will show you in really clear detail where your peaks of activity were. So you'll be able to see when you look at the data, where were my big peaks? Where were the big peaks in traffic, for example? And where were the big peaks in orders? So when did that cut off for me? And you might look back at your last year data and say, God, December wasn't great. November was amazing, but December, cut off really soon. And, you can take an insight from that. Maybe I didn't guarantee delivery late enough. Maybe I didn't do enough marketing in December. And, really use that peaks and troughs information to help you plan for this year. Similarly, you'll be able to see your key lines and categories from last year. You probably have a fair idea of these from your buying patterns in general, but really good to see that what actually moved for you last year, and was it what you expected? Was it the hot trending item that you bought into that you're expecting to sell? Or maybe it was something more traditional in the gifting space that went really well for you. So looking at the data will really help you understand what's working on your site at that time of the year. Again, the marketing that worked, really important to see that, and crucially, what budget you spent. So looking back to the marketing that worked and the budget that you spent last year will help you inform your plan for this year, and be realistic about what we need to spend at this time of the year, in order to drive the uplifts that you're expecting in the channels that you're expecting to drive them. So looking back at that information is really, really important. And it is really easy to forget the fine detail from last year. Even from summer campaigns or earlier in the year, you might have just, forgotten the fine detail, and particularly around Christmas, how crucial those last few days were, how important a particular SKU was. So really good to look back at the data. Now, I also am conscious there's retailers who mightn't have been online last Christmas, who mightn't have full seasonal data to use. But if that is the case for you, look at whatever data you've got. So if you've got a month's worth of data, if you've got 3 months, if you've got 6 months, look back at those patterns. It's still worth it, because it will still tell you your patterns in terms of marketing and in terms of site performance and what's trading for you. It's really important we do that. When you've done that, my advice then is to look forward. So that's more like it, I suppose. The first thing I would say for this peak that you need to know is, what does success look like? And that's true of any kind of goal or aspiration we have in anything we go to do. What does success look like? And in retail terms, what I would say is forecast your sales target. And I don't mean that in a heavily detailed financial planning exercise, although I know some people perhaps on this call will have taken that approach, which is brilliant. But what I would say is, at the bare minimum, we need to have an idea of what sales you hope to achieve over peak. Now, if you have that monthly, if you have that by week, even better. But having that number, that revenue number, you can then apply your average order value, take that from AB Commerce and work out, okay, well, how many orders do I think I'm gonna need to process in terms of in order to hit that number? But getting an idea of that sales target will really help. When you've got that sales target idea, then you can actually plan a wee bit better. You can plan what stock you need. What stock is going to help you reach that number, what you need to sell, what marketing activity do you need to do, and what budget do you need to assign, and crucially, what trading promotions do you need to execute? Because with the best will in the world, having these goals are brilliant, but we need to then put the building blocks in place in order to help us reach those goals. Okay. And also, when you've got an idea of what your sales targets are, roughly what orders you need to do, that will help you see your operational capacity that's needed. And as Orla mentioned, having the correct space, having the correct resource, the correct fulfillment channels in order to get those orders out and keep those customers happy. And lastly, in terms of know your business, you need to consider your brand. So This is $1 million question that comes up on training courses. When it comes to talking about branding, or when it comes to talking about margin or campaign activity, a question that comes up a lot is, are you a discounter as a retailer? Do you do promotions? Some retailers do. Some retailers go very deep. Like, you might be an apparel retailer and you might see the big international companies and they do, 40% off everything. Or you might be a pharmacist who's selling retail brands who might have as much margin to give away. So you might have a different approach to how you would do your promotion there. Or even, you might be more premium brand from an offline perspective. So you don't want to be heavily in promotion. It's not who you are as a brand. And if so, that's fine. But it's something you need to, I suppose, consider about your brand and, understand that going into peak. So if you are a discount brand and you're willing to do discounts and promotions over peak trading, how deep do you go? How deep can you go? And there's lots of different industry data as to what pushes people over the line in terms of making a purchase at this time of the year. Depending on your category or your vertical, the discounting depth will be different for every retailer. So understand that for your business, how deep you're willing to go, and don't think you need to have a blanket promotion with the same discount portion across everything. You can do different discount amounts, and then it's how you message it in your marketing that will help communicate that to the customer. And if you're not a discounter, what will you do instead? You can't be drowned out. Don't let yourself be drowned out by discounters at this time of the year if you're a premium retailer who doesn't do a lot of discounting. If you're not going to go for the promo angle, you need to do something else. So you'll need to ramp up your marketing. You'll need to spend more on content marketing. You'll need to have value adds, perhaps, maybe more giveaways. Maybe it's a spend and save to try and maintain your average order value. Or maybe it's some type of loyalty incentive that you do at that time of the year. But just because you're not participating in Black Friday, per se that weekend, doesn't mean that you're left behind or that you're staying out of it, because you still need to participate and ramp up your communications. And overall, no matter what you decide to do, whether it's promotional, whether it's non-promotional, a key question for your brand, from a brand perspective on your site, is how will you execute it? Okay. The market is going to be so noisy. You're going to get emails every day from different retailers. Your social will be full of beautiful campaigns. So we really need to think as retailers, how do we execute the creative for these campaigns in a way that reflects our brand? We don't want to be putting up last minute creative tiles that look the same as everybody else or that aren't executed as well as we could possibly be doing it. So taking this step to plan and thinking ahead about your campaign and thinking about your campaign theme perhaps, or what does Christmas look like on your site, working with a graphic designer or a creative resource to create a beautiful execution for that campaign or for your Christmas period will help elevate your activity on your site. And then lastly, I'm putting this last, normally I say in terms of digital marketing inspiration, and on the training courses I'll say this, digital marketing inspiration and best-in-class websites sometimes won't be the guy next door or the shop down the road. They're not always the best person to look at for inspiration. They're not, I would advise looking at the big international retailers for digital marketing inspiration and what are the cool new technologies and what's a really good campaign idea. But at this time of the year, we do need to look at our direct competitors from a trading perspective. So that's the time of the year that we need to know what discount are they doing, where are you price wise versus that guy, and I'd be looking at that, and not much else in terms of how they're executing or any of that. Stick to your own plan in terms of how you're executing, what your campaigns look like, but watch them from a trading perspective, because the price comparison shopper will be out in force at this time of the year, and the item that you have for sale will be available or is likely to be available from your competitor as well. So this is the time of the year, I would say, from a trading perspective, watch your competitor pricing. So that's in terms of know your business. The second section is really around know your customer. And again, you guys know your customers really well, especially in multi-channel where you see them in store. When you see them visually in store, you can make calls on their age, their gender, their spending power. You might even recognize some of their names on the online orders going out if you've got a regular customer base. And for anybody that's managing the social channels, you probably recognize a few of those people who are commenting, liking. You might have some fans out there. A regular commenters. But when it comes to your digital marketing space and your marketing planning, it's good to look a little bit deeper at who's shopping on your website, because it won't necessarily be the same people who you see every day in store. Your digital customer is likely to be slightly different. But the good news about digital is you can look at the data and actually work out who those people are. So from a customer perspective, targeting is going to be really key. Okay, so as Orla mentioned earlier, you know, the Irish consumer we're almost at Christmas time, or peak, we're spoiled for choice with the international guys, and that brings the percentage down of people who are shopping locally, because internationals like Amazon come along and dominate from a budget perspective. Like last year, one of the biggest spenders on Google search globally was Amazon. So they will come along and they will, you know, throw their buckets of money at it. So it's very competitive, very expensive time of the year. And you guys will also be increasing your investment and your activity and your effort and the work you're doing. So don't waste it by targeting the wrong people, okay? It's the most expensive time of the year to advertise. Blanket messaging will result in a wasted budget. So if you're doing, let's say, social ads that are just blanketing everyone, or you're sending out email and you want to increase your amount of email and you're not targeting them, you know, that could be irritating to a customer. So what I would advise you do, or you either direct your digital marketing agencies and consultants to do, is to look at the data and target your audience. So I suppose, what does that mean from a channel perspective? If we're looking at social, think about targeted campaigns that are based on the user's demographics, their likes and their interests. So if you've got a particular campaign, or you've got a particular category discount on a brand or a category, make sure you're targeting that to the right person. Similarly, you can also remarket on social to people who have been to your site. So make sure you're doing that as well. So you're talking to your warm audience, and you're bringing them back, because that will be more cost effective for you in the long run. Likewise with email, you know, targeted email is going to be better for you at that time of the year, because everybody is going to be getting so much. And if you target your email, you know, you can send as many in the week as you want, provided they're targeted, and you're not blasting the same people with multiple messages in the week. So that targeting is possible. Talk to your digital marketing consultants about it. We're going to talk a wee bit more about it next week on the marketing session webinar, but definitely start putting those plans in place. And then also on the customer side, invest in customer experience. Now, you know, a lot of our retailers are doing this exceptionally well, you know, sending out treats and bounce back offers, and, you know, are really excellent to their customers. So it's just something to think about. And I don't mean monetarily investing in the customer experience necessarily. I mean the time, the effort, the thoughtfulness that goes into that whole customer experience. The whole customer experience piece. So the data shows that shoppers at Christmas time, or from peak on, are more likely to trial a new brand or a new digital experience that they hadn't touched before during peak, because obviously there's more activity, people are spending more. So you will see in your numbers that your traffic will go up, and hopefully your percentage of new visitors will go up as well. So that means we need to deliver a good first impression. We need to deliver a good first impression, catch these people, give them a good experience, and then hopefully they'll come back. It's obviously more cost effective to retain a customer than it is to acquire a new one. So I suppose that that customer experience is really all the way through, from your creative execution and your marketing through to your website, your home pages, how premium that looks, how on brand that looks for you, through to how quickly they can make the purchase and hassle-free they receive their parcel, and also the service that they receive thereafter if they have any issues and need to come. So that customer experience end to end is really important. Aligned with that then is the personal touch, which is becoming more and more as retail, e-commerce retail becomes more competitive. Retailers are trying to find a way to differentiate themselves online and, you know, really retain that customer, you know, by giving them a good experience. And so the personal touch really contributes to that. So personal touch in terms of items that are going out in parcels, in terms of the experience customers have with you if they phone, if they email, or if they interact with you in live chat. If you don't have live chat and you can resource it, this might be a good time of the year to turn it on. You know, some of our retailers regard their Facebook Instant Messenger as their live chat, and they're very reactive on there. So that's also equally valid. But think about that and that experience that you're giving back and that personal touch to the customer, because that will help differentiate you again from a competitor who's not taking that same approach. And then active management of customer care is crucial. Okay, so it's sort of abstract if we're just thinking about orders going out. And we can all be guilty of it in e-commerce terms. To think about the orders, think about the traffic, what we're spending, but active management of the orders actually being received is really important, because those are people, and thinking of them as people is really important. And those are going to be people who are shopping for Christmas, shopping for gifts. Emotions will be running high, and people are more likely to, I suppose, be a bit antsy about when the deliveries are received. So being prepared to step in, first of all, keeping a good eye on the order backlog and making sure you're not getting backlogged and built up there is really important. But if you see issues starting to arise, be prepared to step in and triage problems before they escalate. So if you can see a customer starting to get annoyed, or they've emailed once and there's a bit of a tone, pick up the phone and ring them. If it's a case that you can actually deliver something, if your delivery provider has let you down and it's somewhere local and you can find another way to get that parcel to the person, do it. It'll be worth it, especially at that time of the year, because people are obviously so sensitive about gifting, and they'll be trying new brands for the first time, as I say, so they want that the customer care and that fulfillment to be excellent. And then also, I suppose on the customer side, never miss a sale. Now, no retailer needs to be told this, because we all want to chase the sale and never miss a sale. But I suppose what that means really, and how we think about that in digital terms, is to think omni-channel. And Orla mentioned it earlier quite rightly. And omni-channel gets floated around as a term, omni-channel, multi-channel, and it can sometimes be a buzzwordy. But I suppose in practical terms, and how we should be thinking about it, is it really means two things. Don't forget the store, because revenue in there is important, and don't forget the store customer, because we know there's no such thing as a single channel customer anymore. COVID brought a lot of people online for the first time who'd never shopped online before, and they're realizing the convenience of that. And obviously Irish websites have got better as well, so we also have to take some of the responsibility for that as well, for the uplift in people shopping online. So you will have an omni-channel customer, and we don't want to forget about those people. So how do we think omni-channel? I suppose one of the things we need to do is choose our marketing methods, and think about how we communicate with people in the way that they might like to be communicated with. So some of your customers will be very engaged in Instagram stories. They'll be looking at what you're selling, what you're promoting on there. Somebody might be a Facebook customer who looks at it once a week. Someone else might just be email and just looking for a promotion. Or you might have an older customer who really responds to SMS, and there might be a store event that person might really respond to the idea of coming in to see. So maybe an SMS is the right thing for that person. But really what is crucial, I suppose, on the multi-channels or the omni-channel side of things at this time of the year, the most important thing you can get right is your last order dates. So last order dates in terms of guaranteeing Christmas delivery, it's really important to get right in two ways. We need to communicate clearly. So when you do your plan and you sit down like this and think ahead, think about what dates you can stand over. So what's my cutoff for delivery? When do people need to order? So I can guarantee them Christmas delivery. After that point, then what am I going to do? Am I going to provide click and collect? Am I going to provide gift vouchers? What am I going to actually, what's my decision there? And when you've made those decisions, then you can communicate clearly and you can provide those alternatives because you've planned for it. This is an example of an very well last year textbook example. They facilitated orders, so online orders up until the 22nd could still be fulfilled. They communicated this really clearly in their social and their email on their site. Then they moved into click and collect when the 22nd had passed. So 22nd, they still had 23rd, 4th, stores are still open. And when that deadline had passed, then they moved into online gift cards, and that email went out and you could still order that, I suppose, up until the time that you needed to see that person at Christmas to give them their gift. So thinking ahead will help you get that flow in order, decide those dates, make sure you can stand over them with your carrier, and then communicate them really clearly. with your customers, and you know, and consistently as well. So that's on the customer side, guys. The last thing, last section I want to talk about is prep in the detail. And I suppose, what does this mean? It means taking those insights that you've gleaned and putting them together into a plan and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So the first thing, first and foremost, is, have you got the stock? You know, obviously you're going to need depth, and we know that suppliers are under massive pressure globally. You know, globally there's stock shortages across a lot of categories. You know, with stock coming from China and things. So we know that there's going to be that challenge. Hopefully you're not experiencing that too badly and you've been able to build some stock. But if possible, you know, we would hope to be able to build stock on a couple of places. So in trending items, you might obviously have sections of your site or your business which are, you know, prone to trending items. Like I'm thinking about possibly the pharmacies with new beauty palettes, or the hot trending, you know, new item that's out from a particular range. So the trending items, are you going to back them? If you're backing them, you know, how are you going to promote them? And can you actually get the stock to back it up? If you can't, and you're not able to, you know, get some depth around a trending item, don't commit to it with your marketing, because you're not going to get the return on ad spend if you've been putting marketing around something that you can't fulfill. Okay. This is an almost notorious case study. These are the Cabbage Patch Kids from 1983. This was a hot toy for Christmas, and there's obviously a hot toy every year for Christmas. But these strange looking babies actually resulted in fistfights in some stores in America where the stock couldn't be got, and you know, parents were actually fighting over them. So hopefully we don't end up in that position with any of our retailers. So you've got the trending items, and there's also the best sellers. So don't forget your actuals when you're looking at your data. You know, the Christmas stuff is going to look beautiful, and you know will look really well in store and all that kind of thing. But also make sure your current best sellers and what's making bank for you at the minute, that you're not neglecting that as well. And then also promotion lines. I suppose if you're going to do promotion lines, have you got the stock for them again? Because you're going to be putting marketing behind promotions. Think about, we talked earlier about how deep you go in terms of promotion discounting and what that would do for your margin. But, you know, I suppose it is really important to be able to back the promotion if you went to the effort of investing in the marketing. So make sure you're selecting that correctly. And then also think about how that will impact you then from January and February. You know, how soon are you going to be able to replan that stuff? You know, are you just going to be pulling forward sales into December and have a really lean January on particular lines? So thinking about the stock from that perspective will be helpful. Next, when you've got the stock and it's selling, are you ready for the fulfillment surge? And Orla mentioned this earlier as well. I suppose a good question to ask yourself if you've done your forecasting and you've thought about what your sales targets are and what that's likely to mean in terms of orders. Then you'll be able to see in terms of resource, have you got enough cover? Have you got enough people in the pick and pack team? Have you got enough people in terms of customer care that can answer queries that come their way? And what are the realistic current volumes? So how many orders are you getting through at the minute per day? You know, if you don't know that, it's worth even just trying to work that out now, even at normal volumes. How many orders is the team getting through? And, you know, what is that consistent level? Because we might think it's actually more than it is. So knowing that volume will help you rota people, you know, extra people if you need, you know, in those various areas. Again, what fulfillment options will you offer? You know, is everything going to be standard delivery? Are you going to switch on click and collect? One of the big trends actually of 2020 was click and collect. You know, for various reasons, obviously, but click and collect is now people have started using it. It's not going anywhere either. So, you know, if that's not something you're offering, maybe, you know, this is the time to think about that. And then, as I was saying to you earlier, communicate the timeline. Be consistent with those dates. If you can extend them, then all well and good. But at this early stage, picking those dates and sticking to them will be better for your customers. And then I'm putting this lastly in the prep the detail, because the stock you need to get right first. Then you need to be sure you're able to fulfill it. Then we think about what marketing you're going to do, okay? Because all the most beautiful marketing in the world and the most beautiful website in the world, you know, it won't get you across the line with the customer if they haven't been able to buy what they wanted, or they haven't been able to get their parcel in time. So get those two things right first, and then think about your marketing. Plan all your activity now. If you don't have your calendar together, do it today. I have a marketing calendar template that I'm happy to share with anybody who hasn't got one. Just drop me an email after this. And you probably do have a marketing calendar that you work to, but getting a good marketing calendar in place now will make it easier to react when the time comes, because you've proactively planned your campaigns. And if you've proactively planned your campaigns, you can move things around. If something goes wrong and you can't execute what you're planning to execute, you can pull something forward because you've already planned it, you've already decided it, and you've already hopefully started to get creative together for it. It's really important to have that plan in place. You will need to increase the volume. Okay, so you will need to increase the volume on what you're doing now. So if you've got an agency or a consultant working on this stuff for you, brilliant. You want to be saying to them, here's my marketing calendar, here's the campaigns I'm planning, go to town on it. You want to maybe probably give them a bit more budget. If you're doing it internally yourself, it's the same principle. Increase your number of campaigns, increase your budget as well, within reason, obviously. You need to keep it fresh as well. So in the early days of Black Friday, when it first was just Black Friday, it wasn't even Cyber Monday. It was like, do one campaign and run it over that day, and that was that. But now, because Black Friday is starting earlier, or peak, let's say, is starting earlier, what we really need now is a calendar of campaign messaging that'll take you through the period. So what I don't mean is you need to change your homepage every day. You definitely don't need to do that. If you plan one strong campaign per week or per fortnight that's got cohesive assets across your site and your digital marketing, and a strong trading promotion or trading message, that is enough. Okay, so we don't want to be chopping and changing every day, but we do want to keep it fresh with a good, strong campaign every week that's going to drive your sales number, because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. And lastly, then also think about resource. Okay, so if you're if you've got external resource working on your digital marketing, then great. If you've got an agency or whatnot, but a lot of people don't. Some people are doing it internally in their teams. So let's just be realistic about what the internal teams can cover. So if you've got someone who's also helping in store, answering phones, wrapping presents or parcels for people, and you also need them to do the social media, that might be a bit of a stretch for that person when the store gets busy. Similarly, anything else in the marketing realm that you've got someone working on maybe part of the time, really think about how you could resource that. Do you need to get an agency to get you over this period? Do you need to get an agency on a trial basis and review it in the new year whether you're going to keep them or not? So thinking about all that in realistic terms, what people can realistically get through will be valuable for you. And then finally, someone needs to conduct the orchestra at this time of the year. Okay, so as we know it gets really busy, there's a lot happening, but someone needs to be able to step back and take the helicopter view of what's happening, so that you're monitoring what's happening and you can react accordingly. Okay, so depending on the size of the team and the resources you have available, it is valuable to take some time out in the day and look at your daily KPIs. So go into your AB Commerce dashboard, look at yesterday's sales, see how you went, how many orders did you get? And monitoring that every day will help you see, am I hitting my target? Am I making enough money here? Do I need to increase my marketing? How many orders am I going to need to get out? Is what I'm doing working? And when you're looking at that every day, you can optimize accordingly. You can ramp it up or you can change things around, but only when you're close to the detail. That'll also help you keep up with fulfillment. So if you're looking at tracking your KPIs daily and seeing how many orders are coming in, you also need to see how many are going out. So you need whoever's doing pick and pack to count how many orders are going out, so that you can see, is there a delta there? Is there a backlog starting to build? And you can only do that when you know how many orders are coming in and how many orders are going out. So it's very difficult for the pick and pack team to actually do that all, So it's good to have someone that's just stepped out of it, a little bit, to actually, as I say, conduct the orchestra. And when you're doing all that, Then you can proactively manage the customer care side. As I was saying to you earlier, you can monitor the escalations a bit better when you know the backlog is starting to build, or even better, if the backlog is starting to build and you can rota on some more people to help pick and pack. This is the ideal scenario. We'd all love to be in this position, by the way. Too many orders, too much money. So hopefully you will be in that position, and you'll be looking at those numbers, and you'll be able to turn around any frustrations by adding in more people into the pick and pack team, or, as I say, triaging problems with customers and intervening before they're massive problems. Okay. So that's everything from me on the planning side, guys. I really wish you all the best and every success with your peak planning, the trading and the execution of it. So I am going to hand you back over to Orla for some tips on supercharging the store itself for peak.
Great. Thanks so much, Preach. I think that was a great presentation, some great insights and lots of useful advice there. I think there's a great roadmap there. If you've been listening through that entire session, as I said, it is recorded. So maybe something you'll need to even go back and have a look at again as you digest it all during the day. I'm sure there's a copybook full of notes in front of most people. So lots to get you started if it's a situation that you haven't really got your planning together yet. Okay, so before we go on, again, I'd like to maybe ask you to share any comments, any questions, any thoughts that you might have on both of those presentations today, this morning. We'd love to hear any key learnings that you might have had from last year's peak, as Breach said at the start of her presentation, things that you might have learned, things that you now realize, would be great to know, anything that you'd like to share with the retailer group. We'd love to know when you did start planning for peak trading. Maybe some of you started last January. It's ongoing all year, or some of you maybe have yet to start. And I know some of you have experienced a fulfillment surge in the last 18 months due to COVID. So if there's anything that you'd like to share with the group in terms of processes, systems, resourcing ideas, or equipment that you've invested in, it would be great to hear your experiences. Next week, we're going to have a section of our webinar that will be dedicated to that, focused on fulfillment. And it'll be great to share any feedback that you might have on that session. Okay, so if you bear with me now, I will share my screen here again. Okay, so hopefully that has populated okay there for you all. Okay. So what we're going to do now is look at how you're going to supercharge your online store for peak trading. So I want to introduce to you a range of functionality, some of which you may have used in the past, some of which will be new to you. And all of this functionality is live on the e-commerce platform right now, and if implemented, should really help you to optimize your online store to get the most from the peak trading period. We're going to present these ideas to you in the form of 3 pre-recorded videos, and each video will focus on a specific area of your online store. We're going to kick off with ways to optimize the product detail page. Then we'll look at ways to optimize the checkout. And finally, we'll look at a selection of more general conversion tactics that can be used across the online store. So as you watch the videos, if there are any ideas that interest you, jot them down, and you can reference the support articles, as always, on support.abcommerce.com or contact helpdesk@magico.com, and we'd be delighted to support you in the implementation of them. All of these videos, as you can see hopefully here in the screen share, all of these videos are on our Magico YouTube channel. They're there now, so they're available for you to rewatch whenever you wish. And you will receive an email with the link to all of the videos and the support articles and a recording of this session over the next couple of days. So let's kick off with the first video, optimizing your product detail page.
Custom icons for Black Friday. Don't miss a selling opportunity. Highlight Black Friday promotional products with our custom Black Friday product icon. This icon will display on the product image and will be visible to customers as they browse product features on your homepage, category landing and product list page, and of course the product detail page. To activate this on your online store, just contact helpdesk@magico.com. Upsell add-on product functionality. If you have products that go hand in hand or are an essential add-on to the purchase of a product from your online store, you can add them to a product detail page so that the customer is offered the option to include them by ticking a box when adding to the basket. A great way to encourage your customers to increase their basket value. Examples of these products include offering a tanning mitt with a tanning cream, associated batteries or accessories for a toy, or drill bits with a drill. Assigning these add-ons couldn't be easier. Just click Edit Product Content, include a call to action, and customize the title of your add-on suggestions with "Don't forget to add these too," and then add the associated product codes. Click Save, and your add-on products are assigned. Related products. For retailers who are not populating related products via a third-party integration, you can manually set up related products to display under the product content on the product detail page. Related products can be set up at a product level via the AB Commerce admin, or follow the steps in our bulk upload instructions to bulk assign related products. Our support site provides detailed articles for both approaches. Suggesting related products to the customer will offer a richer shopping experience, and offering alternative product options will ensure their continued engagement with your online store. Related products feature the same product in a different size or colour on the product detail page. If you would like to feature the same product in a different size or colour on the product detail page, you can set up these products to display just under the Add to Basket button. Another great way to enrich the shopping experience and ensure customers stay engaged. This feature is great for showcasing the same item of clothing or a shoe that comes in a different colour, or it's a great way of highlighting different sizes of fragrance or beauty products. These relationships can be set up at a product level via the AB Commerce admin, or follow the steps in our bulk upload instructions to bulk assign related products. Our support site provides detailed articles for both approaches. Out of stock email alerts. During peak periods, popular products will sell quickly, and you don't want to be missing out on the opportunity to convert a sale while you restock. You can now offer your customers the option to sign up for an out of stock email alert from the product detail page, so they are notified by email when that product is back in stock. A great way to bring customers back to your online store. This functionality will also inform you what products your customers are interested in and what quantity of that product they want to purchase. Use this information to guide your buying decisions. If you wish to activate this out-of-stock email alert functionality, just contact helpdesk@magico.com. Set a max order quantity for high demand products. If you are concerned that customers or other retailers will bulk buy high demand products and suddenly deplete your stock during peak, remember you can limit the quantity purchased of a product so that customers cannot add more than the max order quantity to their basket in one transaction. The max order quantity can be set at a product level in the AB Commerce admin. Upload version images. If you offer your customers the option to select various colour versions of a product from the product detail page, enhance the customer shopping experience and make it easier for them to make a purchasing decision by associating version images to the colour options available. This works particularly well for various shades of makeup or lipsticks. As you select your version colour button, the image gallery will update to display the associated version for that colour. Note the version names appear underneath the image, which is particularly useful as it provides a reference for customers as they navigate through images of the various colour options. The AB Commerce support site provides a step-by-step guide to how you can set this up in our Uploading Version Images article, and our team at helpdesk@magico.com are happy to support any questions you may have. Advanced stock display options. Stir your customers' fear of missing out by engaging our advanced stock display options. Some of the stock messaging we can facilitate include 5 in stock, only 3 left, low stock. Concern over short supply drives demand and increases conversion rate. If you know your product is coming back into stock, display out of stock, next available date. Or, if you don't want to lose the customer, instead of out of stock, you can allow the product to be purchased now and activate a ships in 10 days message. Contact helpdesk@magico.com if you would like to discuss how these messages can be incorporated for your online store. Automate the free shipping icon for products that have a price greater than the free shipping threshold. Free shipping is a great incentive to drive sales, so let us automate the display of a free shipping icon on your product image for products where the price of the product is greater than your free shipping threshold. The product icon will display on the product image in product feature widgets, on the product list page, and on the product detail page. Contact helpdesk@magico.com if you would like to activate this feature. Ensure all products are associated with the brand category where relevant. The brand category is included in the product title, and this is now clickable so that customers can quickly link to all of the products from that brand. Remember, your customers will approach their shopping journey from a variety of angles. Some will shop by product type, some will shop by brand. But if they see something they like and want to see more from that brand, they can now click on the brand title hyperlinked in the product title to access the associated brand landing page.
Great. So lots of great ideas there. All of those features won't be suitable for everyone, but hopefully there are a couple of nuggets in there that can make a big difference for your online store. And as I said, that video is available on our Magico YouTube channel, so feel free to pop back in and have a look through that again and think about how that can be used for your site. And we'd be happy to talk to anybody who might want to explore that discussion a little bit more. Reach out to us or pop us an email on helpdesk. We have had a question in just from one of our retailers just working about the impact maybe that Brexit may have had on Irish retailers compared to the big UK retailers. So obviously there's a lot of duty and taxes being charged to Irish retailers who are shopping with UK retailers. So my own perspective, Bridget, you might want to come in on this as well, but I think a lot of Irish consumers, that will help the Irish online retailer in that case, because as Irish consumers, I think there's a lot of people who will want to continue to shop in Ireland due to speed of delivery and also avoiding those taxes. And that's something I spoke about earlier. And I think that's something in terms of driving that loyalty and hanging on to that loyalty and that Irish solidarity. It's something that should maybe build into your messaging, quick delivery, and the fact that there won't be any charges or taxes applied. Bríd, if you have any additional comments on that?
Yeah, I think just sort of looking at some of the numbers on it, that it'll be very, I suppose, category specific, how much you're impacted by Brexit, you know, particular categories like, you know, food and whatnot. There's been a lot of talk about, you know, particular items not being able to be sourced. So category specific, there might be some stock challenges. And then operationally, I think there might be, you know, some of the UK hauliers and stuff have had challenges with you know, meeting, you know, the demands required. I do think, though, a lot of the bigger international e-commerce players have got their act together now at this stage and are, you know, have probably had their workarounds in place. You know, the likes of you know, the biggest threat from an international perspective to Irish e-commerce is Amazon. And they've obviously got their act together, you know, in a lot of ways at this stage, you know, dealing with it for a full year. So I would say probably the biggest impact is still that international big players rather than the Brexit specific concern. So as Orla was saying, really trying to play up your, you know, the Shop Irish message and quick delivery and those types of things will help combat that coming into peak.
Great.
Orla, there's just another question in there as well, just around promotions. I'll just ask you before you jump into the next video. So will there be any updates to the types of promotions that will be available in time for this year, like gift with purchase type promotions, for example?
Yeah, it's on our roadmap. We haven't released it just yet. We have been kind of quite focused on some other functionality, but that's something that let's have a chat about that internally. And I can respond on that. It definitely is something on our roadmap, but in terms of the timelines as to when we'll get that out, I can't commit to anything on it just yet. But I can chat internally and respond directly to the retailer who's raised that. Great. Okay.
But I think that's it. I think that's it for the questions for the moment. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So let's continue then with our next video. So that's spoken about your product detail page and how to get that, I suppose, up to scratch and really optimize so that you're making the most of it. What we want to look at now in our next video is around optimizing your checkout and some elements that you can bring in there. So let's just have a look at that video.
Add a gift message input box to your checkout. Add the personal touch to order fulfillment and allow your customers to add a gift message when purchasing. Consider how you will display this to the recipient. A handwritten card is a really nice touch, and excellent customer service is a cornerstone to repeat purchases. Contact helpdesk@magico.com if you would like to activate the gift message input box on your checkout. Offer customers the option to pay by installments with Hum. If you're selling high-ticket items, why not offer the option for the customer to pay in installments via Hum? Once the customer has been approved by Hum, they can purchase from any site that offers this functionality. The installment payment option is displayed to the customer on the product detail page and offered as a payment option at the final stage of checkout. Adjusting your shipping charges. Remember that shipping costs and free shipping thresholds across all of the regions you ship to can be adjusted by you in the admin panel of AB Commerce. So updating these through peak and in the run-up to Christmas delivery is now even easier than ever. If you do alter your shipping charges, remember to update the text references on your delivery or product detail page and any related graphics around your online store.
Okay, great. So Lots of suggestions for you there in terms of how to optimize the checkout and drive conversion, and hopefully you took some value from that. We spoke earlier about that customer exceptional customer service. So the gift messages, it's a really, really nice touch, and how you incorporate that, driving the conversion with particularly for high ticket purchases with Hum. And then your shipping charges, and Bree spoke about that, that time is now to look around and look at what your competitors are doing, and being aware and being competitive within the market. So keeping an eye on those shipping charges, and can you be competitive during this period? Okay, finally, the last of this morning's videos on how to supercharge your online store. We're going to look at some general conversion tactics that can be used site-wide across the site.
Can you offer next day delivery or extend your returns policy? Next day delivery, free shipping, and extended return policies are great ways to entice your customer to convert during peak. Put yourself in the customer's shoes and offer ease of shopping, convenience of delivery, and peace of mind that the product can be returned. All of these will support a strong conversion strategy. Highlight these key conversion techniques in your site-wide banner at the top or bottom of your site, and in the messaging across your online store. Are you highlighting your Trustpilot review rating? If you have a good Trustpilot rating, you need to shout about it. If you're investing in paid digital marketing strategies to acquire new customers that are not familiar with you or your online store during peak, ensure that when they come to your site, that they see recommendations from other happy shoppers. As always, our support team would be delighted to help and advise you on the display options for your Trustpilot ratings. Optimize your intelligent site search engine. We have rolled out further upgrades to the intelligent site search engines we have integrated with this year. Search as you type was added for Celebris, and analytics integration was added for Fact Finder. So if you've invested in intelligent site search, ensure you're getting the most out of this powerful engine. Spend more to get free shipping. A great way to incentivize the customer to increase their basket value. Display to the customer how much more they need to spend to get free shipping as they build their basket. Contact helpdesk at magico.com if you'd like to activate this feature. Countdown to Black Friday and last delivery before Christmas. Use the countdown widget to drive urgency and call the customer to convert as you approach the end of Black Friday promotions. Don't miss out. We're selling out fast 2 days to end of Black Friday promotions. Or if promotions are not your thing, ensure good customer service, leave nobody disappointed, and use the countdown widget to signpost last date for delivery before Christmas. Display in the site-wide feature area at the top of your site, and it will be visible to customers as they navigate all pages of your online store.
Okay. So just one additional feature that has been released since those videos were prepared, and that is an upgrade to our email marketing module. So you can now incentivize the capture of signups, opt-ins to your email database via a homepage pop-up. Also, the automated emails customers receive when they subscribe can now be edited, something a lot of you have been looking for. And you can now gather additional fields of information from the customer when they subscribe. So fields like birth date or other customer preferences. And we can incorporate a subscriber widget as well in various different areas around the online store to incentivize sign up. So I think that release is a great addition. I think it's something that people have been looking for a while. And we would ask all retailers to have a think or talk to us about how it could be incorporated for their online store even before peak. You will acquire a lot of new customers during the peak trading period. So you need to do all you can to ensure those customers become repeat customers of your online store. And as Breach said, it's much more cost effective to retain a customer than acquire a new one. And that functionality will really provide the opportunity for that targeting that Bruce spoke about and ensuring a really positive personal customer experience. So between that new release and all of the features we've mentioned, we would be delighted to support you in the implementation of any of those. And you'll find lots of information on this new functionality on our support site. And also, just to let you know on that, we will share an email in the coming days with a link to the recording of this webinar and also a link to each of these videos, which you'll get on our YouTube page at the moment, but we'll pop a link in an email all the same. And also the corresponding support articles to support any of those features that we've spoken about. But feel free, they're on our support site, so you can go digging for them now. Okay. So just one final check-in to see if there are any questions or comments, or if there's anything you'd like to share with us after the session, we'd be happy to answer them. Then. Okay.
One question there has just come in about a potential future release, the facility to set a product for in-store collection only, as there's some products that we will not consider shipping around Ireland, but we'd like to make them available for purchase for collection in store. So that might be
it's not something, again, it's on our schedule, and I think that's something that we're looking at. So I'll take note of that as well. And again, I'll go back and give feedback in terms of expected delivery timelines around something like that to that retailer after this session. Okay. So if there's anything else, just pop it through and we'll respond to all the questions. So that officially marks the end of today's session. Thank you for your attention. I suppose before we finish, I'd like to encourage you to add the following two upcoming events to your diary, and they're on your screen there. So the first event is next Thursday, the 23rd of September. It's the second session of this Planning for Peak Trading webinar series. And next Thursday's session will focus on supercharging your marketing during peak period and also supercharging your fulfillment. And we'll be looking at your marketing tactics for peak period, marketing channels, resourcing, planning, and timelines. We're also delighted to announce that Head of Social, Ryan O'Donoghue from Vroom Digital, will be in conversation with Breach in this session. Vroom Digital, some of you may know. I think you're already working with some of our AB Commerce retailers, and they also work with some well-known brands like Spotlight Dental. So it'll be great to hear Ryan in conversation with Breach, and I'm sure they'll have lots of valuable insights on that session as well. And then as part of that session, we'll also be presenting on how retailers should plan for the fulfillment surge. Again, in the spirit of shared knowledge and learning, if any of you would like to share your experience or learnings on how you've successfully scaled your fulfillment, it'd be great to hear from you over the coming week. Feel free to pop us through a video message, a voice note, an email, pop us a text. The real value, I suppose, in these sessions, as there always has been when we met in person, is learning from each other. And while it's difficult to do that in a webinar environment, if there is anything you'd like to share, we'd be delighted to pass it on. The second event then that we want to tell you about is Tuesday, the 28th of September at 11 a.m. That's the Google Digital Garage. We've had a number of partners with them on a number of events this year and shared out those details. So they're hosting an hour-and-a-half session entitled Get Your Business Prepared for Peak 2021 Shopping Season. They will be talking about how to get your business ready for the peak shopping season, how to drive online sales with smart shopping campaigns, and they will host a Q&A session with the popular athleisure brand Gym Plus Coffee, who will share their learnings after achieving a record year of company sales. So that should be a very interesting conversation as well. I definitely want to tune into. So at this stage, just a final thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity just to thank you, our retailers, for attending this session. We've had great numbers today. We've had over nearly 50 or 60 retailers with us here this morning. So that's great numbers for a webinar, and thank you for your attention. You've all stayed with us. I know we've gone a little bit over time. Thank you also to the Magico team, who have all come together to bring together the content that has been communicated here this morning. It's very much team effort, so thank you to everybody. And hopefully there was lots of useful ideas and nuggets for you to take away from this session. So yes, open to your feedback. Always happy to hear from you. So if you have any feedback on this morning's session, have you enjoyed it? Was it useful? Have you any ideas for future sessions? Please pop through any thoughts or feedback into the Q&A, or pop them on an email to us later. I hope you all enjoyed your chocolate, and a reminder to tag us with the hashtag planning treats and any pictures, your social channels this morning. And thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all back here again next Thursday. And in the meantime, happy planning.